welcome to another great episode on Spill It. And on today's episode, we have a beautiful woman. She's been a legal practitioner for the past 17 years. She's a life coach. She's a grief support counselor, and she's an all-round brilliant woman. And it's no other person that Mrs. Dorothy HIRSE. Welcome to Spill.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great. By the way, I just want to say that Loki, I have a crush on this woman. Like, she's my she's my WCW Wednesday. What's that? Is it Wednesday? Woman crush Wednesday. Yeah. How you doing?
I'm fine.
It's been a while. First of all, I know you're very busy, so I would like to say thank you for taking out your time to be on the Spill It with us.
Yes.
To share insights.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So today I wanted to talk about grieving and all the things that comes with it. You've been for how long have you been practicing? Like, how long have you been a grief support counselor now?
It's almost 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has it been though?
It has been challenging. It has been exciting, and I think it has been fulfilling too, helping other people navigate through the waters of grief.
Makes sense. Funny stuff is when I was told you were a grief support counselor, I was like, do we have that in Nigeria? Because yes, I watch videos online or I join seminars. As a matter of fact, I've also lost someone, and I've found, like, over the years, navigated my way along the line. But most of the materials I've used or the resources I've used have come from like foreign
Clients.
no, not foreign clients, like foreign resources.
Okay.
So I go online, I see maybe a grief counselor from the US, from the UK, or on YouTube. Like, even on YouTube, I really do not find like home-based resources. It's always like from people. And so I was very, very like astonished when I came across that, and we're like, she's a grief support counselor. Like, how did you join? How did you even come about this? Because I feel like I can count the number. Like, if we were to take count of like grief support counselors in Nigeria, I doubt there will be much. So how did you stumble upon this?
Okay, so this journey for me started in 2018 when my husband died. Yes, and I was lost to say the least. Like, I was confused. I thank you. I didn't know what to do. I was looking out for support. I had a lot of support, family support, friends, loved ones, but that's professional support and, will I say, guidance, because grief is actually something that cannot be mastered, and it's something I don't think anyone can plan for. So when it comes, you just navigate through it somehow. You just navigate through it. So that was what led me on this journey. So my husband died November 10th, 2018. And after everything, burial, all that, and we came back to Abuja. A friend of mine that is in Canada now called and was like, how am I? How are the kids? Have I been to see a counselor or a therapist? And I was like, no. And she was like, I don't mean the ones in church, or I mean someone that is professionally, like, this is what they do. And I was like, same with you. I didn't even know there was anything like that. I only see it in movies, and I hear about it from people that are not in the country, where even maybe a colleague dies and then they bring a grief counselor to talk to all the staff in the organization. I'm like, oh wow, I like this. This makes sense. So that was what led me on this journey.
Um, so first of all, I feel like when it comes to grief, um, it's something like we don't really talk about in Nigeria. It's almost like it's a taboo. Like somehow you're expected to lose somebody, and the next minute they expect you to sweep your emotions under the rug. Don't talk about the person. Don't cry too much. Don't like it's like there's a manual for you to follow on how to grieve. Like you're not allowed to grieve the way you want, or like people don't just want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I have people who up to today, like they probably have lost somebody for the past like let's say 10 years, and they haven't healed. They um of course I know there's no such thing as moving on from grief, but like there's moving forward, right?
Yeah.
But we don't even talk about it to even allow the person to move forward, because you have to address a situation to be able to move forward with it. How has been the, will I say, the reception as a counselor? Like, do people really come through to say, okay, I'm going through this right now and I really love a song?
Most people think you only grieve the loss of or the death of a person, that you cannot grieve the loss of any other thing, only the death of a person. And that's not true. You can grieve the death of a person, you can grieve the loss of a pet, you can grieve the loss of a job, you can grieve relocating from the environment you're comfortable with. You can grieve even changing jobs. Like you're here now and your colleagues are like, you guys are one big family, and then you move to another job where you have to start cultivating relationships. You will grieve, you can grieve the loss of, depending on how attached you are and you know what the things you've invested in this work that you're currently doing. You can grieve the loss of a person that is going through a terminal illness, even while the person is alive, but the person is not who they used to be. Yes. So you can grieve the loss of a lot of things. But the common one that we see is the death of a person. And like you said, so most times, I think generally in Nigeria, we're not taught to process our emotions.
Yes.
We're not taught to own our emotions and express it. So most times, like you said, you're crying too much. It's okay.
Yes.
And maybe that's the only way.
Yeah. But like there's always this common phrase they use, and it pisses me off every time. You're not the first person to go through this.
Yes.
Like, why?
Yeah, so sometimes people can be insensitive with the things they say. And then so most times we just say that they're just, it's with what they know. So they're working with what they know. If they knew better, perhaps they'll do better or say better or not say anything at all, depending on what is needed at that time. Yeah. So most times it's difficult to get people to come in for therapy or counseling because they just believe that, like you said, is it not death? I'm not the first. People have already told them they're not the first. So if this person could come out of it, I'm sure I'll come out of it. And what the error or mistake that most people do is they try to mirror what person A did and looks fine, not knowing or not accepting that person A is not you. Person A has their own way of dealing with things. That so you have to find your own way to navigate through it. So, which also led me in publishing my first book. Yes, we we say their name. So the book is about loss, grief, and healing. Because I know one of the feedback I kept getting that I still get is people ask me, how did you do it? You're strong, you've healed, like this, it didn't break you. And I just felt, okay, how many people will I be explaining it to or talking with? So I decided to put it, in a book. And so that even for those that are skeptical about therapy and counseling, you could just pick the book and read it and hoping you find something that would inspire you to want to live again and would inspire you to want to move forward.
So, you mentioned something about um, the support. Like there was, even though there was support after the loss, your loss, there was still something else lacking. Like something. Like, can you just shed more lights on that?
Yes, so back to my friend I spoke with, when she was like, not religious leaders, not your mentor, you know, because the thing is, and I think it's something that we misunderstand. So the fact that your pastor or imam prays with you or can pray with you or for you doesn't make them professionals in handling every stuff. So, like for something like grieving or loss or death, unless if my pastor is a professional in managing grief, my pastor can only talk to me or advise me coming from his own personal perspective. But when you now come for therapy, it is now like no emotions are
No
attached to
bias.
it.
Yeah.
You're no bias. Thank you. Is attached to it. So you get to just, and then sometimes I don't know if it happens to you, but I find out that sometimes I unburden more with strangers
Yes.
than with the people I know.
Yes.
Because we don't want the judgment. We don't even want the people we know to like,
You keep seeing those people, and so
yes,
there's
and they will look at you in some funny
Yeah,
way because
yeah.
of some things. But the job of a therapist or a counselor is impartial, unbiased. Like, I'm just here to listen, and I think that helps people to say more.
yeah.
So, like an example, when my husband died, I had to manage a lot of people's emotions around me. I had to manage the emotions of my children. I had to manage the emotions of my parents. I had to manage the emotions of so many people around me that I was not able to grieve fully the way I wanted. Because there are times that the emotions will get so overwhelming and I'll feel like maybe crying or screaming, but I won't be able to do it because I have
You
my
feel it to be
children here.
strong, yeah.
I don't want to scare them or I don't want them to be afraid. And then I have relatives or friends of ours that are still in their own pain, are in quote like looking up to me to be the strong one. So I just held myself together till I was able to take some time off away from everybody, from any distraction, and I was
That
able
helped.
to, and that helped. So seeing a therapist or a counselor is also the same thing, where you're just here with this in quote random person that doesn't know your background, that is not your family member, that whether you cry, the person is not judging you, whether you want to scream, the person is not judging you. So I think it's that non-judgmental environment that makes people unburden more than when you do it with familiar faces or people in your circle, because there will be a part of you that you'll be, you just hold on to because you
Yes.
just don't want this person to see you
You're already
differently.
thinking of their reactions.
Yes,
even
their
before.
reactions. And then maybe there were even some secrets that was not known to anybody. And in sharing that secret with a stranger,
You let
you find relief and you begin to heal. But it's not everybody you can go and say that to.
definitely.
Yeah.
What are some of the? First of all, is there a healthy way or like coping mechanism for grieving? Like, is because I've seen people react differently. Some
Yes.
people just go into their shell. Some people just um become more loud. Like, it's always different with the different individuals. Like, going through that phase. Would you say there's a healthy coping mechanism to grief, or and if there is, what was that?
Okay, yes and no. So, let me start with the no. So, no, because there is no steps to grieving, or like you have to do it this way, this way. That's my own belief. I believe that everybody should be allowed to grieve the way they want. People are different, personalities are different, relationships are different. So even two siblings that lose a parent will not grieve the same way.
Yes.
They both lost a parent, but they're not grieving the same way. Why? Because there's so many things involved, their personalities, their emotions, and then the relationship they had with that parent that died. So it would be unfair to tell the one that is maybe loud and expressive with their emotions, can't you see your brother? Can't you see your sister? Can't you see how matured she's handling it? How quiet, she's not shouting or rolling on the floor and all that. No, that's their own way of managing it. So I really, because most times when you say yes, there is a way to grieve, or a healthy way to grieve, what you're saying is that if you don't grieve in this way, it is unhealthy. The only thing I tell people is, as long as that person is not harming other people, nor harming themselves, let them be. They will find their way eventually. So most times when you now do stages of grief, 20 ways to overcome grief, it now puts it in the box, and you can't box grief. Like you said, 10 years later, 20 years later, you find out that something comes up for you about the person that died that 20 years ago. And it comes back like fresh. You even be shocked, you'll be asking yourself, like, I thought I had gone through this. I thought I was over this. Why is it still this fresh, this painful, and this, consuming?
You mentioned something just now, and it caught my attention. There's always a lot of pressure when it comes to the um first bond. Like it, it's like you. I'm always hearing statements like, you're the first child. You're the first daughter. You're the first son. Everybody is depending on you right now. You have to be strong, because everybody's strength depends on you. And I'm like, in as much as they are the first child or whatever, they're human regardless.
Yeah.
They've probably just lost a a, a father, a mother that they were very much close to. And sometimes even like when it comes to like women, like when women lose their husbands or vice versa, they tell you, oh yeah, hold yourself. I mean, I have the intentions might be good, but I've come to I keep questioning, like, why do they always have to, like why do Nigerians always put pressure on ourselves at every um in every situation? It's like there's always that pressure, like there's no time to grieve because you're the first child. There's no time to grieve because you're a husband and that has kids now dependent on you. There's no time to grieve because you're a wife and now you have to like be the man and the woman of the house at the same time. And it's like everybody's just telling you, move on. Like, why do we do that?
I don't know. I think it's our culture. It's just our culture, because I know that um, a friend of mine that lost her dad, and she was sad, of course, and she was crying and all that. And, some women came to meet her saying, why don't cry like that? What do you expect your mother to do? And you know that you're the one that has to be strong for the mother. And I told them, I said, no, leave her alone. She lost a father.
Exactly.
Her mother lost a husband. Let everybody cry their cry. Let everybody grieve their grief. Like, don't come and stop her own or put it on hold so that she will be strong for her mother.
The thing with that again is you live on with life, you go on with life thinking you have tomorrow, you have forever,
Yeah.
like forgetting that like anything, any second, anytime, these things can happen. And so when it happened, everything just scattered. I was like, Where do I go on from here?" How can we like find our path again? How can we find meaning and purpose to our life after like experiencing such loss?
And so I believe that first comes the willingness. You have to want to live again. That's just it. So this one, nobody can do it for you. There is no motivation that anybody can give you. There is no sermon that anybody can tell you. You have to make the decision to want to live again. Because what happens is that most times when there is a death, some people give up. Some people withdraw and they just give up. Like, this person was my whole life. This person was everything to me. And so even if they don't say it, you see it in their actions.
Yeah.
Like, they're just resigned. They're just like
Whatever wants
almost
to
waiting for
happen,
death.
yeah,
Let the death come. Make I follow to the go. Like, so they're not motivated to do anything, which is normal in grief. So it's you having to work on yourself to come out of that space. And that's what causes people to go into depression and become suicidal, because they just feel like there is nothing else, which is one thing that grief therapy, support, counseling, and everything does. So in our shared experiences, I hope that you get to see that it's not the end of the world. It might seem like it now, it might look like, what, if I go to bed today, I honestly pray not to wake up. It might just look so bleak, like nothing can come out of it. But if you give it time, with the right attitude and mindset, with the willingness to grow, with the willingness to want to live again, because I've always been a writer. I've always written poems, journals. Like, I've never published a book. I've never even really. So for me, this is one positive that came out. The fact that I'm able to share my experience, my pain, my journey, and hope that it helps someone that is experiencing same or something similar. And that person gets hope from the fact that, oh wow, she had 2 young children, her husband died suddenly, and she's channeling her pain into purpose and for something good. I think I would want to do the same. I met someone that through her pain has said she also wants to start a support group for women that have lost children, either through stillbirth, miscarriages, and all that. And I told her, I said, that's very good. Because the truth is, grief is exhausting. So there are days you actually wake up and you don't want to do anything. You just want to sleep. You just want to lie in the bed, which is okay. But when it's now becoming a constant thing that is affecting your livelihood, your hygiene, your health, then an intervention is needed.
First of all, I just want you to confirm the fact that like grief affects all aspects of our life.
Yes.
Because I've seen people lose a loved one and go into eating. Like their coping mechanism is eating, and they eat to the point where they become obese. Thinking back right now, I think I had a friend back in uni days that was like that, and when I realized like the extent, the consequences, or the impact that grief can have on us as humans, I thought back to her and I realized perhaps that's the reason why
she was
for some people
overeating.
like grief happens like in your case, and it's like they find a new purpose, they find a new meaning to life, and they want to put in the energy. But also for some people can become obese because they're eating too much. Some people can become anorexic because they're not eating at all. Some people find an addiction just to like distract themselves, and some people in that same situation. So I just want you to talk about how like grief affects all areas.
Yes, so grief affects every aspect of your life. And also, it doesn't matter if you're out there doing stuff, there's still the you that you have to sit with. So forget the fact that, okay, I wrote a book, I'm doing this, I'm taking courses, forget that part. So for me, one of the major impacts that grief had on me has still is that I became very forgetful. I used to be the one that will remember everything. But after my husband died, I still struggle with remembering things as little as addresses, dates. Let's not even talk of phone numbers that are long. Birthdays, appointments. So I always have to put it in my calendar. I have stick-on notes. Like I have to write things down and save it on my phone to pop up because I would completely forget and it's not intentional. And then so for people that knew me before then, at a point for some people they just felt
you just been.
And how many people do you want to keep saying, it's the impact of the grief? So I stopped apologizing too because I just realized I kept saying, oh, sorry, I forgot I was supposed to call you. Sorry, we had an appointment. So do you know I forgot? How many people do you want to keep doing that to? So most times when I tell you I'm sorry and it seems like you're always doing that, I just please believe what you want to believe. I don't even have the energy to convince you. So yes, there's a lot of things. Some people oversleep. Some people don't sleep. They become insomniacs. Like they will lie down and they will not be able to sleep. Like you said, some people overeat. Some people go all out. They just go shopping. They just, once money enters, they spend it because they're thinking, what's in this life again? Nothing. But if you're able to sit down with your emotions and analyze it and you're able to trace it, you now find out that, I started exhibiting this when this happened.
Thank you very much. Because I feel like it's definitely important and for people to understand that, especially that last part and how like vast and different are reactions to losing someone or like going through grief can be, and how important like having a support system, be it in form of a support group or you just going to see a therapist, how that can go a long way to help you come out of it. And for those of you that might want to access her, we're going to leave her social media handles in the link below, and we hope that like you share it with somebody that might need to hear such and to understand that it's okay to grieve. It's okay, like the side effects or the impacts of grief are very, very much okay, and that it's fine. Thank you very much, Mrs. HIRSE, for coming.
Thank you for having me.
I can't wait to have
It's
you
a pleasure.
again on this. I think like we haven't exhausted this conversation. However, it's a good start, and hope to have you some other time to talk about. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to click the notification button. Thank you for joining us on
Spill It!